Hello, YouTube. We are checking out the next compilation from the Dadvocate. We had a lot of fun watching the last one. She's pretty funny and seems like she is actually cracking the code. Amazing. Let's see what we have in store for us today.
Womansplaining Men to Women, Part 11. I gotta drop another truth bomb on ya. Ladies, it is time to reclaim all the time you're wasting trying to read anything off his face.
Oh, I think I've seen this one actually.
God, I just got so annoyed watching this. I know she's trying to be funny, I know that. But I think most guys watching this know she's not joking. I get so annoyed when women date men knowing they like sports or knowing they like video games, then they keep dating but expect him to suddenly stop liking sports and video games. As if the moment he agreed to get serious with you, he also agreed to never have hobbies again. And I'm not saying men are never clingy like this, but I do not see passive-aggressive videos of men filming themselves being angry that their wife is ignoring them while she watches RuPaul's Drag Race. Though honestly, a video like that would be funny at this point. Like, oh my god, look at his face. That's a cry for help right there. And I heard him say something like, oh, my team is losing anyway, so it's fine. That's called a coping mechanism.
I was gonna say that's
I used to say shit like that to my bullies in high school who would mess with me as a way of making them think they're not winning. And she called it Ignore Your Wife Weekend. A football game is like 3 hours. If a man can't spend 3 hours a week ignoring his wife, what does he even have in this world? And stuff like this really messes with guys. See, when you first started dating, you tricked him into thinking that you would be okay with him watching sports or okay with him playing video games. And that brought him a lot of relief to know that you would be okay with that part of him. But this is one of those things that people think will just magically change after marriage. People really trick themselves into thinking that marriage just changes things. If he didn't clean before the marriage, he's not going to clean after. And if he liked sports and video games before the marriage, he's not going to stop liking them after. The man you date is also going to be the man you're married to. And quite frankly, now he's going to be worried about you. Because you used to be okay with him having his own space and doing his own thing. And now you aren't. Now he's freaked out thinking, what is she even doing when I'm not with her? Just waiting for me to be with her? Can I even be my own man anymore? And what the hell is going on with this couch situation? My man is facing sideways
asking the real
to watch
questions.
the TV? Why are you watching your TV sideways? Ladies, please, face your couch toward your TV, let your man have his hobbies, and have your own hobbies, or you will kill each other. Women.
Okay, but that was a lot to unpack. I think there's a lot of truth to what she's saying about. I say this a lot actually, is that marriage doesn't actually change almost anything. Like, yes, it's a very significant time in your life and it's a very serious commitment, but it's not going to actually change the people that you are. And the same is true. Well, kids change a lot of things about your life, but kids aren't going to fix your relationship, and marriage isn't going to fix or fundamentally change your relationship either. And there's a lot of people that just think like, oh, well, when we put this ring on or when we have this ceremony, it's going to suddenly make everything different. And it's very like, when you're in your late 20s or you're in your 30s, or especially when you get older, you're not going to just grow out of a hobby or an interest that you have. And it's very frustrating, I guess, and annoying if that is sort of expected, that you just stop caring about something that you like that the other person doesn't. I think it's totally healthy rather, for both of you to have your own hobbies and your own interests. And it's important, of course, to try and get involved in each other's hobbies and interests, and that's how you can grow closer as a couple. But it's also okay to watch a football game or play some video games, and for your wife to read a book or knit or go on a walk or go to the gym or whatever hobby she wants to do if she isn't into sports. Personally, I'm not into sports either, so I don't really have this problem, but I obviously do play a lot of video games, and it's something that you have to work out. That being said, there's also a lot of cases of people that overly indulge in those things. But again, that's probably not something that started after you were getting married. It's probably something that was that way the whole time. And your partner's probably not going to just magically change overnight and just become a different person. And so I get this complaint that it takes up too much time. Also, it probably is more like an all-day thing, because a lot of the time you have friends over or things like that for the game, and football does take a long time. But still, I think purposefully trying to like sort of sabotage your partner's enjoyment of something for hee meme is kind of annoying. And I think that if men did this to women about something that they cared about and were being obnoxious to them, they would get super called out for it. So yeah, it is what it is.
Explaining Men to Women, Part 11. I gotta drop another truth bomb on ya. Ladies, it is time to reclaim all the time you're wasting trying to read anything off his face. If you're trying to figure something out, and you go to his face for information, you will receive inconclusive data.
Side note, her eye makeup is awesome. I could never, that's the type of thing that I would never be creative with, but I do really like her eye makeup.
They say men are dogs, but in this way, men are more like cats. They do not show their pain. Your man could be under the most stress and anxiety of his life, and his face will look like this. Your man could be so euphoric and overjoyed, and his face will look like this. Those long silences could be anything. He might be trying to remember a word, or he might be reconsidering his entire life with you, but you're not going to be able to tell from his face. I cannot tell you how many times I've been like, "Are you mad at me?" And he's like, "No, I'm trying to remember if it was Ramses or Khufu, who was the pharaoh who had over 200 kids. And I'm just like, well, misread
Probably
that
Khufu.
one. And that's no good. I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to get yourself into so much trouble reading way too deep into things. I always say, if you're going to go digging, you're going to find dirt. Like, sometimes girls will try to say certain things to gauge his reaction, to try to, like, catch him. They'll be like, "I bet you wish I had a nicer body like your coworker Cindy." Like, just to see what you'll say.
Admiral Akbar, it's a trap.
Dude, he knows it's a trap. Men invented bait. He knows what you're doing. These little traps never work how people want them to, and they are killing good relationships by creating these patterns of toxic self-fulfilling prophecies, by jumping to conclusions. If you really want to know what's up with him, ask. Because you're either going to get what you really want, or he'll finally realize he's holding in a fart and fix his face. This commenter asks,
Okay, I think it's perhaps a little bit overstated. You can definitely tell if somebody's really upset by looking at their face, man or woman. Usually when people are actually upset, it's pretty obvious the vast majority of the time. What they're upset about, you may not be able to tell very easily. But if somebody just has sort of a neutral expression and they're just zoning out, yeah, she's pretty dead on. There's an entire super famous meme about this with the woman and man in the bed and the woman thinking, "I bet he's having an affair," or thinking about cheating on me or something like that. And then the thought bubble for the guy is, "I wonder if I forgot my keys in this place or if it's under my seat in the car," or whatever, something like that. Or he's thinking about cars. I don't remember what it is. But I know that definitely there's a lot of the time where we just kind of zone out. I don't know. I'm sure women also zone out. But I think that men are probably socialized a lot less to be expressive of our emotions and our inner thoughts. And so it probably does lead to a little bit of what you might call poker face about whatever random thing that you're thinking about. I would say the vast majority of the time, it is something like which Egyptian pharaoh it was, or, you know, which YouTube video it was, or which Magic the Gathering combo you're working on, or whatever it is. It's probably dumb shit, but 1,000%, just ask. Just talk about it. For all of the time that people, I guess, clown on men for not communicating, there's a lot of the time where there's just assumptions made about conversations. And if you just asked, you would probably just get a straightforward answer, and it's probably way stupider than you thought it was. Just, I don't know, the whole trap question to try and suss things out it just feels very high school to me, and it's awful. It's just awful.
But why do we, the men, always have to be the ones to initiate everything?
How old is this video? Because I feel like this conversation has come up a lot in the last year or two or three about who's initiating what. There's still a strong expectation for men to initiate everything, but I think this would be an interesting one for her to revisit, to be perfectly honest.
That is a fucking great question for the ladies. This is almost like one of those chicken and the egg questions. Like, did men become the pursuers because they liked it or because we like it? But spoiler alert, Womansplaining episode 19, men like being pursued too. They like being told they're cute. They like being asked out. They really like it when you take their hand and pull them away somewhere private. Having been both the chaser and the chased at some point in my life, I can say there are pros and cons to both. There's definitely a certain thrill to the chase, as they say, but it comes with a lot of baggage. After all, as the pursuer, you are the only one who carries the risk of rejection. And it can be a lot to be the only one dealing with it over and over and over again. And if you tend to want to be pursued, you do get to be in a cozy spot when it happens because you end up being the final gatekeeper. However, that also leaves you up to getting mad slept on because you're never showing your cards or telling people what you want. That's why I think for the cat and mouse thing to really work, both sides need to initiate to some degree. And honestly, ladies, after everything we've been through with the whole Me Too movement and everything, we actually have to start stepping up and initiating more. Because good men need a really clear, hard, loud green light before they are going to try anything. And shit, ladies, if you love getting what you want, being in control, and letting your consent be known, real easy way to do that is you initiate it. Womansplaining.
Yup, that says everything that I need to say about that is there are a lot of extremely valid and reasonable reasons that women feel unsafe and or frustrated about being approached and all of those things. But so I guess not really, but therefore, at the end of the day, it seems much more equitable if you are maybe not equitable, but much more going to give you the outcome that you're looking for if you actually do the approaching, because not like she said that when you're the one being pursued, you're the final gatekeeper, but that's only kind of true in that if you're the one who is worried about something, being the gatekeeper by being the one who does the approaching, if you just don't approach it, just doesn't happen. I mean, it does obviously because other people will come up to you, but like if you're the one approaching, then you're the one who's fully in control of the situation because you're the one that's going outside of your own comfort zone on purpose in order to make this happen, as opposed to just being approached and being stuck in someplace uncomfortable. So I think that this attitude is somewhat changing, but I'm also seeing a lot of pushback on it that I've seen a lot of women that are just like, why don't men approach anymore? And it's like, well, I mean, listen, a lot of us have been told that we shouldn't, and we're not psychically able to tell that you're one of the people that does want to be approached at a bar or at a cafe or a library or a bookstore or whatever, right? So yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see as society sort of develops the conversation about these things. And this is also a very American problem, I think, just to throw that out there. I don't know if this problem or situation really arises in other cultures that have a more sort of formalized dating etiquette, but yeah, I don't know.
Men to Women, part 13. Okay, so low key, your man doesn't exactly want you to know this, but he also kind of does. He loves the tea.
Okay, before she elaborates, I don't know if that's fully true for... I have no idea how many men that's true for, but it's true as shit for me. I'm such a gossip hoe. I love to hear the details. And I have heard a saying that people that like gossip are typically the people that aren't getting involved in it, as in it's not about them. They like to hear things that are going on to other people because it's entertaining, as opposed to people that just absolutely hate it are usually embroiled in it and its problems. So I don't know. I love hearing the tea.
You found out one of the single soccer moms on your kid's team slept with a ref? Low-key, he would love to hear about it. Like, he might act stoic, he might act like he's above it, but I guarantee you 1 mile into the drive home, and he's gonna be like, so which ref was it? And don't underestimate his ability to keep
How many
track of all the
times?
characters. I guarantee you at any time he could list off an entire roster of like 3 different sports teams, or the entire cast of like 4 Final Fantasy games.
I was just so called out. I was literally about to say maybe not sports, but like Final Fantasy characters. Jesus Christ, she knows.
He has the bandwidth. I don't care how manly he is. I don't care if he's 200 pounds of solid muscle with a beard past his man steaks. Even if he's a lumberjack.
Oh, I don't like that phrase.
Snack. Girl, he wants the tea just like the rest of us. Womansplaining Men to Women, episode 15. Men are the first ones to say, I got it taken care of, before they have even mildly begun to figure it out. But rest assured, they will figure it out. Now, we all occasionally fly by the seat of our own pants. Men are pilots, absolute aerospace engineers.
This is why the majority of men, if you ask them that they think that they could land a plane in an emergency, I feel like the majority of them would say, yeah, I think I could figure it out. There is no plan. There is no plan there. I will say, as somebody that suffers pretty badly from anxiety and analysis paralysis, I definitely am not the first one to say I've got it figured out, but I am very quick at figuring out problems that are going to arise.
Of by the seat of their pants flying. You know how often a man will pull into his driveway just in time for his wife to text, hey, did you pick up that rock salt? And he'll go, yep, as he's pulling back out to go get that rock salt. Is he lying? Yeah, but that's all because your peace of mind is the most important part of the plan. The plan that he does not have, but also totally has.
Also because he doesn't want to get called out for forgetting again.
And that tends to frustrate us as women because we tend to be way more type A than men, and we like to have things a little bit more planned out. But people confuse men's not having a plan with not being prepared, and those are two different things. Ironically, the way men do prepare is by preparing for nothing to go according to plan. You know, the one thing us women don't plan for. So you'll notice that when we are getting frustrated because nothing's going according to plan, he's taking it like a champion because he never planned for anything to go right in the first place. Therefore, it's all going according to plan. It's actually kind of annoying how men have not figuring things out all figured out. Womansplaining Men to Women episode.
That's kind of real. That's like the whole if you have no expectations, then they can't be you can't be disappointed. I think that aspect, this comes up a lot for me on vacationing, where my wife will really enjoy looking at every single thing that's possible to do and trying to book a lot of days, and she's kind of coming around now to my side of things for that. I like to know things that we could maybe see or do, and then sort of just do it day by day, unless you absolutely 1000% need a reservation for something, which, to be fair, sometimes there are things that you need a reservation for. But my parents, I think it's because I grew up with my parents and they were very much both that type A, that we're going to plan 3 things for every single day, several of which have reservations. We're going to get up at 6 a.m. and maximize our vacation. And it's just like, oh, good Lord. How does anybody have the time or energy for that?
Episode 16. So if it feels like your man is ignoring you or is mad at you because he's just kind of staring off, he might just be lost in his nothing box. See, men do this thing where they accidentally transcend
I feel like
the
this is
space-time continuum.
part 2 of that earlier one.
Nothing box. And they really don't know when it's going to happen. They'll just be in the middle of something and then all of a sudden they just fall through a wormhole. It's something that he wishes he could do on purpose because it's actually quite peaceful, but he knows that it's going to happen right before you're about to tell him something really important instead. So instead of getting mad at him for unintentionally achieving a state of dharma, here's what to do the next time you see him just reformatting. It's actually a lot like sleepwalking. You don't really want to interrupt it or anything. So instead what you can do is just kind of like leave a message on his chest or just kind of like put it in his hand or something. He'll figure it out. Next level of your relationship unlocked. You're welcome. Womansplaining Men Part 17. Raise your...
She's so good. She's so good. A lot of these are generalizations, obviously, but like the number of times, even in just this video, where she said exactly what I was about to say is, listen, she's onto something.
Raise your hand if you are a woman and you believe that men expect praise for doing work. Yeah, it's a pretty common misconception, but let's be clear. Men do not expect praise for anything. In fact, they're almost always super thrown off when they receive it. That's why when you compliment a man, instead of looking happy like you might expect, he might look confused or even mad like he thinks you're messing with him. So I think this misconception that men are expecting the praise actually comes from the fact that women are always the ones telling other women to praise their men when they do chores to motivate them to do more chores. And that's really annoying to hear, right? Because it's not like we're getting parades thrown in the street every time we do stuff. But what I've realized is that women who are telling you these things, who are experienced with living with and working with men, are not doing it as some like 1950s Pavlovian dog training. It's just because they've known men long enough to see how strongly they react to appreciation. Basic acknowledgement just hits men different. Like, look at this, for example. If someone were to thank you as a woman for vacuuming the living room, you'd either take it as being passive aggressive, like it's expected of you, or it would just feel like nothing because we receive way better compliments all the time. Like, girl, the other day I went to buy wine and the lady who ID'd me called me movie star famous. What did I do to deserve that? Men are not having these experiences. Men are not getting stopped in the street, told how cute their hair is or how cute their top looks on them. Here's the big thing. It's not that men expect praise for doing work. It's that they're sick of being told what they did wrong when they do work. Look, I'll tell on myself real quick. I used to never cook. My husband did all the cooking. And if I so much as heated up SpaghettiOs on the stovetop, my husband would thank me for cooking. That is so silly, and yet it made me feel good, and it made me want to learn how to cook better. And I did, and I'm a great cook now. So I want you to stop looking at giving your man accolades as babying him or putting yourself down. And I want you to start thinking about it as, how can we both validate and reassure each other in healthy ways? Can't build an empire without lifting each other up.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty well-known fact that most men don't receive compliments. I think it's sort of interesting. I have a personal anecdote on that, that I don't think I was ever complimented on my voice pretty much my entire life until I became a VTuber. And it's not that it happens all the time, but it's probably happened at least, I don't know, 5 or 6 times that people have said, "Ooh, I really like your voice." And I still don't know exactly how to respond to that because I've literally never received that compliment before in my life. And it's not like I'm putting on a voice. I'm just talking normally. I've had this voice for my entire life, literally never been complimented once. And I think that because men, or rather, because VTubers are sort of a layer of separation between the audience and the creator, I think there might be some level where it's expected that people no, maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe what I should say is that it removes sort of a social concern about complimenting somebody that you're looking at face to face, I guess. And I feel like I've gotten so many more compliments as a VTuber, both personally for things like my voice or my sense of humor, but also just things like my model, my aesthetics, and the number of compliments that I've gotten for, clothes or hairstyle or anything like that. I can probably count on one hand, maybe 2 in real life. But because there's that layer of separation, I think people are just a lot more comfortable to give compliments to VTubers. And that obviously extends to women as well. I think that people are a lot more forward with complimenting female VTubers on things, both, again, things like their voices, but also things like certain assets that they may have with their model that you just absolutely would not say to somebody in real life. And so anyway, I do think that that's interesting, but I do think that she nails it there, that the people who are giving advice to do that are doing it because they've observed how effective it is. And there's certainly things that men can and should do that make women happy that are not the same things, but men and women have different lived experiences in terms of what things happen to them all the time and what things never happen to them and what things are expected of them and all those types of things. And so you should really think about the target of your communication when you are communicating, and because that is ultimately what matters the most, is the communication between you and another individual, not you and some generic, concept of a person. And, everybody's different. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. I think that she is definitely pretty much spot on with all of her analysis of things. Again, it's obvious that none of these things are 100%, but I found myself nodding and smiling and laughing a lot of the time. And she literally took the words out of my mouth several times in a row with a lot of these examples. So I really enjoy watching this. If you guys find these reactions fun, please remember to like and subscribe. And let me know in the comments if there's anything that I should check out. Either more things from this channel. She has a lot of these compilations. Or just other channels, other specific videos. Let me know. It certainly helps me figure out what things people want to watch. So anyway, have a good one. Bye-bye.